Good
Hello,
afternoon.
Maximus.
I can hear you.
Okay, great, great, great. It's great to have you online. So you know, the coming in of the telecom sector is supposed to make life easier for a people. I don't know if I
Right.
am right on this, but also observing the trend, I can say that in Ghana, the situation is just opposite. I mean, we travel around, we go out of countries, we know exactly. Sometimes you're walking on the streets and you can actually get just Wi Fi on the streets, and it's nice. It makes life very easy for you. You're able to contact anybody. In this country, it's very expensive, it's stressful, rude customers, companies, telcos making losses. And in this case, we have about $10 million loss that we're faced with, which is calling for this measure. What exactly is going on?
Yeah, so you have listed a bag of issues that the telcos, in fact, face and their customers also face. The issue is that AT hasn't been profitable for a while. So that's what is necessitating the decision to merge with Telecel, which is also struggling, right? So that's the difficulty. MTN has become the market significant market player, and they have dominated the market in all the verticals: data, voice, mobile money, and SMS and all that. So now trying to merge these two smaller ones is not even up to half of the market size. So it's quite tricky what the decision that we are trying to make here. But the issue is that are they able to optimize their human resource and the telecom resource that they have to be able to innovate on them and compete against the MTNs? That is what we need to wait for or look out for going forward. Yeah.
So you're talking about market share and monopoly by MTN?
Yes, because when the NCA ruled that they were a significant market power, they controlled about 68% in terms of data and about 48% or so of voice. So you can imagine having that number already, and they controlling about 93% in terms of mobile money, which is running into trillions of Ghana cedis in terms of the transaction volume. So they are very profitable. And you can even see the kind of taxes they are paying, to government and all that. So trying to compete with somebody like MTN, if you are not big or equal size as them, and then having the blueprint that they are using in terms of how they innovate, trying to touch every vertical in the marketing space, is going to be difficult for AT and Telecel to compete with MTN.
I mean, not to attack MTN, but is MTN doing anything that muffles the services of other operators that comes into the system? Because I saw when Glow came, I was present at the press conferences trying to get into the markets and introducing themselves to the country, and then all of a sudden it was sort of slumped. It couldn't necessarily survive. Yeah. And then the
Yeah.
other networks almost facing the same. It was Vodafone, it was Tigo, it was Airtel. And all of a sudden, all of them, are slumped as well. Yet MTN is still staying stronger, but giving us expensive service. And because of the difficulty or the challenges these networks, the other telcos are facing, they're also not or unable to, make profit, also coupled with bad management.
So that is difficult to ascertain in terms of the expensive service that they're offering. In fact, the SMP ruling requires them to even reduce their prices so that they increase their prices so that it will be higher than their competitors. So give the others the advantage in terms of pricing. So that is the SMP ruling.
Well,
MTN
relatively, I think
services
I'm
are
not
supposed
doing
to be.
the comparison locally. I'm doing the comparison internationally, I guess.
Yeah, so even in Africa, of course, if you compare, Ghana is about in the top three when it comes to affordable data. Of course, it's relative to how much you can afford as an individual. That is it. So I'm sure that is the issue. But the main concern is how do you merge these smaller groups to become, a power to compete against a giant like the MTNs. So innovation has been able to help MTN be sustainable in the market and build resilience. They have built a profile of huge agent networks across the country. When they started mobile money 18 years ago, the rest didn't invest in it. And now that they have a hold in the market, the others want to play in that same space and they are struggling. Even the banks are struggling. So you can see that the long-term approach that a service provider like MTN has been using has been very helpful. They've invested a lot of money. And the other telcos, what they need is to be able to have the investment and the long-term approach to, offering a service that will attract more customers, because we want to go to where service is reliable and cheaper. And sometimes the reliability leads because you want to be able to put a call to another person. You don't care whether it's one city is more expensive or not. So that is how the sector works. We want the connection. Then they want customers. So how do you give us a service that will appeal to us so that we can migrate to you? Now they are bringing their resources together. I'm sure they can work around a strategy that will work well for their customers, so that when I'm making a call, I'm browsing, I will not have any challenge. Then I will not think about MTN next, because now you are going to have two competitors in the sector, which will make the competition easier for MTN.
Yes.
So that is a challenge
Yes,
that we are
because
going to have.
I
And for
guess.
me, it's about the customers benefiting.
Okay, I guess it's the reason. If you watch the videos we played, quite a number of Ghanaians on the streets are a bit pessimistic about the move.
Yes,
I'm not so
exactly.
yeah. I'm not so sure if
And
it's
I think
because they
that
think that it reduces competition for MTN, or it's just overperformance that's making it. Well, some of them actually mentioned that, the two networks work in very different levels or at very different levels, and they don't think that merging them would give any effective outcome.
exactly. And the thing is, they are not that competitive enough. You can't say, okay, AT is dominant in this particular offering, and then Telecel is dominant in another offering. So when you bring the two together, at least you have two options of service offerings that you can use to compete against the dominant force like MTN. So if the one was good in data and one was good in terms of voice, then the two come together, then you are going to give a better service offering to the customers. Then even MTN customers who want to move to the Telecel customer or Telecel network. But we don't have that. A lot of people are complaining about their service. So now merging two, service providers who are not offering a quality service in quote to their customers is not going to trigger any excitement in the customers for them to stay on the network. That is the challenge they are also going to have. Now, if you are moving me to a Telecel that I have a lot of friends saying, okay, their service is not that good. Now, when I go there, can I easily port to the competitor? So a lot of migration or cross migration is going to happen. And let's see what happens at the end of the day, because people are going to look for quality service and reliability of service as well.
But Max, you're an expert in the industry. Is it a strategic move that would actually aid us see quality delivery of this measure?
Yeah, so it depends on the strategies that they have for the merger. If the strategy is, okay, we are merging these two people, we are going to give them a lot of resource because government has shares in these two service providers, and we are going to put more money into their services so that they can innovate more and give more offering to customers. I think that will be the approach to be able to stand the competition from MTN.
What, apart from the fact that these companies are unable to effectively operate, what else are the factors that affects them within?
Yeah, so of course the big ones, the bigger player has, I'm sure they've been poaching experts or employing people who have, let me say, higher qualification or they have industry experience from the smaller ones. And people move because if I'm employed in one telecom service and the bigger one is giving me a bigger offering, that is a bigger platform for me, to move. So they do that. And they also are investing in a lot of other areas. So they invest in culture related programs, so festivals and all that. MTN is investing in that. They're investing in music platforms, sponsoring all that. Of course, Telecel is also doing that in the Ghana Music Awards space. But for the smaller ones, I think they have to innovate very fast and deploy quickly into the market to be able to stand the competition. Because the bigger ones is, of course, it will take some time for them to deploy. MTN sees themselves as a technology company. So they call themselves Techo instead of a telecom company because now they are building platforms and then integrations into smaller content service providers and all that, which the other ones are not doing at that scale. So they need to take some, points from the MTN blueprint, what they've done so far. Imitate them, and then you innovate on the imitation so that you stay alive in the space.
After all, there's nothing wrong with copying blueprints.
Exactly. It's the same industry. What the people, the service providers or the customers want, quality service when I'm doing voice call, and then data too as well. Now, the voice call is reducing because now we can do a lot of calls via the internet, right? So now you can't compete even at that level that you are going to compete in the voice space. So it's not data. So you need to invest more in your fiber, making sure that your internet is running and you are giving bundles to customers that will keep them on your network because that is the new frontier. Data is the new frontier. In fact, that is the future.
Yeah, if you can educate me just a bit on the fiber optic cables laid for telcos. The fiber optic cables that are laid under the sea, for example, does it serve all the telcos or, individual telcos would have to do their own laying?
Yeah, so the fiber cables, I think so far we have about 6 into Ghana. It's about one of the highest across Africa. So we have, I think MTN has an investment in one, and then there's a consortium of companies with other telcos also bringing in one. So there's one, I think, to Africa that is like it has the highest bandwidth and the speed when it's deployed, of course. So the other telcos will also benefit.
I'm sorry.
But the issue is
I'm
that
sorry,
some
Maximus,
of them are being co-located.
Hold on, pause.
Yes.
You said we have one of the fiber cables that has the highest speed in Africa?
Yes, it's one of the highest speed. It's called To Africa.
It's called what?
I think maybe before To Africa, it's called To Africa, number 2 in Africa.
Okay. And which telco uses it?
I think it's a consortium of companies, MTN included. I don't know whether the Telecel, I think Vodafone was also part of it or something. It's a consortium of companies who are bringing this. So they're getting more resource and bandwidth.
Do you know where other, which countries have maybe equally higher speed fiber optic cables?
Yeah, of course, South Africa, they have South Africa, we have Egypt, Kenya, and of course, our brothers, Nigeria, they're also investing in that.
Okay.
So we need more of it. But the issue is that the connection from the coast to the hinterlands and the frequent cut of fiber is also affecting the service providers. So if you want Telecel to give you a good service, you should care about who is cutting cables or digging up cables in your area. Sometimes the construction firms, they go digging up cables because fiber is just light passing through a pipe. Because it doesn't shock you. If it was electricity, they would have been careful. But they end up cutting these cables, and these cables is very expensive, even joining it when it's cut. Sometimes they have to lay a new cable altogether because you don't want a break in the transmission.
Isn't it because
we
of
should also
how?
care about
Isn't it because of how our plan of development itself is just jumbled up? Everybody is doing their own thing. I mean, this
that is the
goes
challenge.
right.
So, some other countries, what they do is that when they are constructing roads, they put in empty pipes for water, for electricity, for fiber. So when the Telecel is going to lay a cable, it knows every 100 meters, there's a fiber cable pipe that I can just put my this thing through. And they've laid it already. It's not that now we're going to dig up a road, cut through the road and all that to lay a fiber cable. And if there's a breakage, the people within that catchment area will not get a reliable internet, or they may not get internet at all. So the infrastructure development, I think they passed a law where the contractors who cut cables, they are supposed to pay a fine or something. It has to be more punitive so that when they are digging up roads or doing construction by the roadside, they should be very careful about that.
Right. Right. Finally, before I let you go, I know that we're looking at how Airtel, AT and Telecel will succeed, but do we have more investment space for new telcos to come in?
Ghana is a small market, but the issue is that there are so many verticals or so many offerings within the telecom space that a player can just come and say, I want to do internet of services, or I want to do smart homes. So every home, your power is regulated by a technology device or transportation technology, or somebody can come and just invest in movie production or online streaming, for example. So they focus on different verticals within a telecom space. But now we are just playing, everybody is playing within the same space, and the mobile money too. If you had like Telecel, who had a mother company that started Safari, what they call M-Pesa. They started mobile money payments, and they didn't even bring it to Ghana very early. So they lost that one. So if you had like one telecom service focusing on mobile money, one, being the leader in data, one being a leader in voice, and another being a leader within another verticals within the telecom space, then you need a more players within the space. But currently, I don't know who is coming to compete, who is able to come into the space and compete very well with the likes of MTN. Is going to be a challenge unless they are going to play in an area that MTN is here to invest in.
Right. Your final answer is an eye opener, but we'll leave it here. My time is up, Maximus.